Johnny Knox. Johnny Knox's injury remains one of the most disturbing moments ever captured on an NFL field, because the human body simply is not meant to fold the way his did. During a routine fumble recovery against Seattle, Knox dove for the loose ball and was hit from behind at full speed. The impact bent his spine in a horrifying V shape, and players immediately signaled for help as Knox lay motionless on the turf. Trainers rushed in and stabilized him, knowing instantly the damage was serious. Knox underwent emergency surgery to repair fractured vertebrae, but the trauma left permanent nerve and structural damage that ended his career at just 25 years old. The saddest part is how quickly everything changed. One moment, he was a rising Chicago receiver with elite straight-line speed, and the next, he faced months of rehab to relearn normal movement. Fans still talk about how silent the stadium became. That collision exposed the brutal reality of the game. And this next story shows how tragedy can unfold in a completely different way. Chuck Hughes. Chuck Hughes' story is unlike anything else in NFL history because it remains the only time a player has died on the field during a game. Late in a matchup between the Lions and the Bears, Hughes jogged back to the huddle, then suddenly collapsed face down with no contact at all. Teammates thought he was winded until they realized he was not moving, and medical staff sprinted across the field. The stadium fell into a stunned silence as doctors began chest compressions right there on the turf. Hughes suffered a massive heart attack caused by an undiagnosed arterial blockage, and despite immediate treatment, he was pronounced dead shortly after arriving at the hospital. Teammates were devastated, and the league reevaluated sideline medical protocols after the tragedy. What makes the moment so haunting is how ordinary the play before it had been. No big hit, no awkward landing, just a player giving his all before everything stopped without warning. And the next moment in this list reveals a different kind of horror created by pure impact. Darryl Stingley. Darryl Stingley's injury became one of the most defining and heartbreaking collisions the sport has ever seen, because it did not just end a career, it changed the conversation around player safety forever. In a preseason game against the Raiders, Stingley leaped to catch a pass when Jack Tatum delivered a hit that instantly drew gas from everyone watching. Stingley crumpled to the ground and did not move. Trainers realized immediately something was terribly wrong. He was rushed to the hospital, where doctors revealed he had fractured 2 vertebrae and suffered severe spinal cord damage that left him paralyzed from the neck down. The collision sparked national debates about defensive rules, hitting technique, and the culture of violence built into the sport. Stingley spent the rest of his life advocating for player protection, and his story still influences how the league approaches head and neck trauma. It gets worse, because what happened next in this video shows that devastating injuries can also come without any contact at all, creating a different kind of pain entirely. Victor Cruz. Victor Cruz's injury came during a nationally televised game and left fans stunned, because it was one of those moments where everything seems normal until a body part suddenly fails. Cruz ran a red zone route against the Eagles, leaped for a pass, and came down awkwardly on his right leg. Before he even touched the ground fully, he grabbed his knee and collapsed near the end zone. The torn patellar tendon ended his 2014 season immediately, and the sight of Cruz crying while being carted off the field told everyone how severe the injury was. A patellar tear is one of the most difficult injuries for any skilled player to recover from, because it destroys power, explosion, and confidence. Cruz worked tirelessly through rehab, but he never returned to the same form that made him a star during New York's Super Bowl run. It was a reminder that not every comeback has a perfect storyline. But that's not all, because the next player shows how a young rising star can have everything change in a single tangled moment. Tank Dell. Tank Dell's injury was one of the most chaotic scenes of the 2024 season, because it happened in a pile where bodies were stacked on top of each other. Playing against the Colts, Dell was blocking during a goal line scrum when a defender rolled onto his planted leg, twisting it violently underneath the mass of players. The impact caused a compound fracture in his leg, with bone damage severe enough to require emergency surgery that night. Coaches and teammates described the scene as jarring, and fans went silent when the broadcast cut away from the replay. Dell had quickly become a breakout weapon for Houston, thriving alongside CJ Stroud and emerging as one of the most promising young receivers in the league. The injury halted that momentum instantly, forcing him into a long recovery that would test both his physical strength and mental resilience. The situation shook the locker room and reminded everyone how fragile opportunity can be, and what comes next involves an injury so unusual that it still gets referenced for its bizarre and brutal circumstances. Patrick Edwards. Patrick Edwards' injury did not happen in the NFL, but it remains one of the most infamous football injuries ever because it came from something far more dangerous than a defender. While playing for the University of Houston, Edwards sprinted down the sideline to chase a deep ball and could not slow down before crashing into a metal equipment cart sitting too close to the field. His momentum carried him directly over the side of the cart, snapping his leg in a violent compound fracture that left teammates and coaches horrified. Fans were shocked by how preventable the injury should have been, because the cart was positioned in a place where no player should ever have been at risk. Edwards required extensive surgery and rehab, and the incident led to widespread scrutiny over sideline safety protocols across college stadiums. The gruesome nature of the moment still circulates online in discussions about field hazards. But first, only cool people are subscribed to this channel. So hit that subscribe button before we go any further. And the next entry shows how a legendary career can end unexpectedly. Michael Irvin. Michael Irvin's injury in 1999 was one of the most chilling moments in Cowboys history because the scene did not look catastrophic until he failed to move after hitting the turf. Irvin caught a pass against the Eagles and was tackled head first into the unforgiving concrete like surface beneath the old Veterans Stadium turf. His head snapped backward at impact, and his entire body went limp. Teammates quickly realized that something far more serious than a concussion had occurred. Medical staff immobilized him immediately, and the stadium grew tense as Irvin remained motionless. Doctors later confirmed a cervical spine injury that forced him into retirement, ending a Hall of Fame career in a single instant. The moment became even more infamous because of how some fans reacted, highlighting the harsh emotions tied to rivalries. Irvin's injury demonstrated how fragile even the toughest athletes can be. And the next story shifts to a collision so violent that it required reconstructive surgery with hardware most people associate with major trauma. Anquan Boldin. Anquan Boldin's injury became legendary because it was the kind of impact that made even veteran players look away. Late in a 2008 game against the Jets, Boldin went up for a pass across the middle and was sandwiched between two defenders. The hit cracked several bones in his face and left him lying on the field as trainers rushed in with urgency. It was later revealed that Boldin required 7 metal plates and dozens of screws to reconstruct the damaged areas of his jaw and cheek. Shockingly, Boldin returned to action far sooner than anyone expected, displaying an almost unreal level of toughness. His ability to play through lingering pain cemented his reputation as one of the toughest receivers of his era. Teammates still talk about how determined he was to return immediately. This injury remains a reminder that some collisions produce hidden trauma beneath the surface. And the next player on this list faced a sudden setback that altered a promising rise at a crucial moment. Michael Crabtree. Michael Crabtree's torn Achilles in 2013 proved how quickly a star can be sidelined by a non-contact injury that appears harmless at first glance. During an off-season practice, Crabtree planted his foot to burst off the line and felt a sharp snap that ended his momentum instantly. He dropped to the ground and clutched his ankle as trainers recognized the signs of a rupture. The injury required surgery that sidelined him for most of the season, robbing the 49ers of a key playmaker during their competitive window. Achilles tears are notorious for altering explosiveness, and Crabtree faced months of intense rehab to rebuild strength and confidence. He returned later that season, but lingering limitations affected his ability to create separation consistently. The injury reshaped his career arc and forced the team to adjust their offense. It was another reminder that even elite athletes can see their momentum vanish in an instant. And the final section features a moment so bizarre and disastrous that it still shocks anyone who hears about it today. Wendell Davis. Wendell Davis suffered one of the strangest and most devastating injuries in league history because it happened without contact and destroyed both knees simultaneously. While running a routine route at Veterans Stadium in 1992, Davis planted his foot and immediately collapsed as the notoriously poor turf gave way beneath him. The force of the slip ruptured both ACLs at once, leaving him on the field in agony as teammates signaled for medical staff. Doctors confirmed the rare double ligament tear, and the severity ended Davis's career despite multiple surgeries and rehab attempts. The incident brought national attention to the dangerous conditions at Veterans Stadium, which had long been criticized by players. Davis's injury became a case study in how playing surfaces can be just as hazardous as defenders. The moment remains one of the most infamous examples of field-related trauma in football history. If you like this video, consider watching this next one, which YouTube thinks you are going to really love.